So I'm going to welcome you all here. So glad you took some time out of your day to be together, to come together as a community to learn more about how we can get our message out. Really, it's about connecting with other humans. That's really what marketing is, connecting with the people who most need what we offer, whether it's a product in Catherine's case, or services in a lot of our cases, or a book. So we all have an important message to share with the world. And if we're not getting it out there, then the people we most want to serve are not being helped by our message. So it's kind of our sacred honor and duty to be able to market ourselves well and to get our message across. So those of you who are new coming in, please put your biggest marketing challenge in the chat and we'll circle back around to those later. But with no further ado, I'm going to introduce our presenter today, who is Lora LeFhae. Raise your hand, Lora, give us a wave. Lora is amazing. So I'm going to read her introduction and then tell you a little bit about my experience with her. So as a content writer, strategist, and web designer, Lora sees business as the vision and reflection of the person behind the business. That's us. That person is sharing their particular magic with like-minded others. It's important to capitalize on that passion and intention to reach real people and articulate the genuine issues that business can solve. She particularly enjoys working with female-led businesses and heart-centered entrepreneurs just like us. So I just want to give you a quick example of what Lora has done for me. So when she started looking at my website, she realized that my essence really was not in the website. I had this sort of very professional, bland kind of storefront as my website. And it really didn't reflect my passion for helping people like you get their messages out. So she helped me really turn that around, totally redid my website and my copy, and most of all, helps me connect heart to heart with the people I most want to connect with. So she helps me with all kinds of copy, from emails to blog posts to web copy and all that kind of stuff. So you might think it's all me. But Lora has a magic of being able to reach into my brain and pull out stuff and write it as if it was me. And it's pretty magical. I love it. So she's really great at what she does, and she's going to teach us more about it today. So Lora, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. It was very nice. You said all those nice things. So I have broken my presentation into two parts because it's a big topic and because I wanted to separate the strategy from your why, which is a big part of what we're going to talk about today. And I wanted to help you to understand your uniqueness and how that relates to your marketing. So I'm a proponent of heart-centered marketing, which to me means being yourself, being authentic. And I learned copywriting from a man who said you needed to be both a poet and a killer. And I prefer to say you need to be yourself. It's kind of scary, that whole, like the killer piece. So let me just start my slides. There we go.
Got to give you an option to share. Okay.
Thanks. Can you see that?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. In Amy's recent newsletter, she pointed out that a lot of authors experience a gap between the heartful book that they write and marketing that book. And as if marketing and sharing were two different things. And I'm going to argue today that they are not, or they don't have to be, two different things. Okay, so there we go. So a lot of things going on. So imagine that you're telling a friend about your book and you're very excited, is that sharing or is that marketing? Or is there a difference? Now imagine that your friend is so excited about your book that they want to buy it on the spot. Do you feel totally comfortable with that? Or is there a little bit of discomfort? Is there a part of you that wants to go, oh, well, we're friends, I'll just give it to you? And the reason I'm asking that is because it's important, right? It's important because if you're uncomfortable with them wanting to buy your book, then there's a belief you have about marketing and what that means. And that's an important piece for you to excavate. We all want people to support us by buying our books, buying our products, coming to our talks. We want that. Everybody wants that. And the people that care about us want that for us. So it's really a disservice to not allow them to support us in that way. That's me. I grew up literally in the woods of Alaska with my dad, pretty much the two of us. And my dad was very busy building a big, beautiful house, which left me to roam the Alaskan wilderness by myself from an earlier age than that. And being alone for most of my formative years helped me to develop a very keen sense of observation. When I was in the first grade, which is just a year after that picture was taken, I observed that the kids at school on Tuesdays would bring $1 for the PTA. So that following Tuesday, that was the following PTA day, I baked cookies and brought them to school and sold them to the kids for their dollars. And that went really well for me until the principal called me into his office and made me give all the money back, which really put a damper on my career. But essentially, what I'm getting at is that I lost my place. Really, that's what I'm getting at. That what I want to share with you from my knowing, from my deep observation of life, is that every relationship you've ever had and ever will have is a reflection of the relationship you have with yourself. And how is that relevant to marketing? Well, marketing is all about building relationships. We're always marketing ourselves. I'm marketing myself right now. So I want you to picture you've finished your book and in the garage is a big brand new box of books and you haven't told anyone. Now, sooner or later, that feeling that you had, that motivation is going to well up inside of you, the one that made you write the book in the first place. It's going to drive you to share that, to tell somebody that you've got books in the garage and that you really want to share them. You have a message to share. So I want you to kind of get in touch with that enthusiasm that you felt, the motivation that made you want to share that message in the first place, that made you want to open that box of books and tear them out and jump up and down. That enthusiasm is a reflection of your marketing style, believe it or not. And the fact that we all put a damper on that enthusiasm, that's just stuff we learned. Forget about that. The enthusiasm, the drive, the excitement, that's your marketing style. So who or what are you marketing? Basically, if you are a person who you've got a lot of really deep and meaningful relationships, that's really important to you. There's a lot of conversation. There's a lot of soul searching. Then that's the kind of marketer you are as well. And probably email is going to be a good vehicle for you. If you are a social butterfly, everybody knows you, likes you, and you have some amazing ability to guess what the next trend is going to be, then social media is going to be an important part of your strategy. But what if you're an introvert and you have a handful of close but loyal friends who really get you? Then build on that. It's called word of mouth. So what I'm saying is that you have to start where you are. You have to start with who you are. And that indicates your marketing style. We're so busy looking outward for everything that we assume someone else has the answer to how we should be marketing. But it's you. You're the one that has the answer. Marketing is about building relationship. And we've all heard the 3 common ingredients: know, like, and trust. So I want you to think about your personal relationships for a minute and use that same concept, know, like, and trust. Think about that in personal relationship. Works the same way there, right? You need to know, like, and trust a person before you go deeper, before you share. I think somebody in the chat had said something about constantly being open and transparent and sharing the deep feelings that were in your book. That's a challenge for many of us, because we want to feel like we know, like, and trust people as well, even if they're our biggest fans. So the best marketing happens when you're being yourself. And what you find in the personal relationships, you're also going to find in your marketing. So I'm going to take you a little bit deeper into know, like, and trust, because again, we're talking about that inner relationship that we have with ourselves and how that's a reflection of the relationships around us. So if we're afraid of knowing ourselves, if we're afraid of what somebody else is going to see about us, we have to look and see, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid that people are going to find out about me that they're not going to like? And if they did, would that be the worst thing? Just imagine it's the very, very end of your life. You've passed over, and the first question that the universe asks you is, how many social media followers did you have? That's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. Knowing yourself is a deep and abiding understanding of the gifts, the essence that you brought to share. It's simple, right? Liking yourself is accepting yourself, forgiving yourself, liking, being kind to yourself, and showing up confidently as you are. Trusting yourself, believing in yourself, and knowing that you are worthy, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how you put your foot in your mouth, you're still worthy of being loved, always more love. So why not just copy somebody else? Why not just do what somebody else is doing with their marketing? They seem to be really successful. They seem to have it all together. They're very organized. I'm just going to do that. And you can. But over time, what you'll find is that if you haven't made it your own, it's going to be a lot more work for you. It's just going to feel laborious. It's going to feel inauthentic to you on some level. And consequently, people are going to see that in you. They're going to feel like something's off. It's not going to be satisfying because it's not yours. You're not sharing from yourself. And ultimately, a little bit less successful. Does anybody have any questions so far? If you have a question, you just have to speak it, because I can only see tiny little pictures of you. So what I want to do now is move into I'm going to do just a quick visualization, just to bring us all into that heart space. And then I want to do the exercise that I sent you in the PDF. If you already did some of that, great. And if you didn't, you can write some things down now, except for the fellow in the car. So just put your feet on the floor, close your eyes, and take a couple of deep breaths. Just relax for a minute. Close your eyes. And just take that in a little bit. Some of what I was saying about being yourself in marketing and how that feels to you. If it feels comfortable, uncomfortable, scary. Take another deep breath. And now I want you to visualize a time in your life when you helped someone. You did something for someone. You said or did something that they were very grateful for, that they really were able to fully receive. Just feel into that for a minute. That person was right there with you. You were sharing from your heart, and they were receiving. The receiving was a gift in itself. Now I want you to picture the scene as closely as you can. What they were wearing, what you were wearing, where you were inside, outside. Maybe it was a work situation or maybe not. But you were intent. You were spontaneous. You were giving what you had, a transmission from your heart. And they were receiving it, really getting it. Feel into how amazing that feels to be received. And then I want you to see if there's a word or feeling that naturally arises, no effort, that identifies what that is that you shared, what it was that arose in your heart and was transmitted to theirs. Anything at all. Don't make it difficult, just let it come. Ask to be shown. What was that? It's a quality that you have. You probably don't think about it very often. It comes so naturally to you that it doesn't even seem like a thing, but it is. And there it was that day, in that moment, passing from you to them in such a beautiful way. And maybe they said something. Just feel into that, whatever that might have been. And I want you to recognize that that essence, that feeling, that would be the concept that you shared is something that you are thirsty for. You have it, you share it readily, but it's also something that you are thirsty for. So just take a moment right now and give that to yourself. Just fill yourself up with that feeling.
You're up. I need to do that.
Good. I am picturing that you're all getting it. You're right here with me and that you're getting it. So now take a couple more deep breaths. And I want you to bring that back. Bring that, what it was that you experienced, bring that back. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Does anyone, nobody has to, but if anyone would like to share, I'd love to hear from you. And if nobody feels comfortable, that's okay.
You'll need to unmute too. Looks like Frank wants to say something. Go ahead, Frank.
Okay. Actually,
Thank you for that. Boy, that was relaxing. It made me recall when I was 21 and I was a big brother in the Big Brothers organization. And my trainer who recruited me, Jim Walker, said, just be reliable, don't bring gifts, do special favors, just go slow and just attend and listen. So I got that. So I was assigned to every Saturday morning to go visit this young boy, about 7, who was very turned inwards, quiet. The parents had a conflict and they separated. The father had left about 6 months before. So I showed up every Saturday. And for the first few weeks, it was quite frustrating because the mother would let me in. She was very kind and would offer a beverage, and I'd go upstairs, and the boy would be sitting in a long sweatshirt and blue jeans on his rug, looking down, and he would say hi, but weakly, okay. And he would play with his toys, and no matter what, he wouldn't engage in conversation. So when the assignment was 6 months long, and quite fulfilling, after a certain point right before Christmas, I invited him to come outside. I said, I saw you at a basketball. So any Philadelphia kid comes with basketball glued to his hand. But we went down to the court and we shot a few hoops. And at one point, we both went up for the ball really fast and we banged our foreheads together really hard. But when we came down, we banged our foreheads and chest together. Suddenly, he was a different kid. He was full of chatter. He just said, oh my God, oh, you almost killed me, blah, blah, blah. We both sat down on the sidewalk, holding our heads, and we went nuts. And then we walked home. And he was a kid who, it was like he just had a cup of coffee. It was full of conversation all the way home. And I went home and brought him to his mother. And then after a few weeks, that project, that 6 months assignment closed out. And I could see as I left the mother, there was that moment in, you asked about that magical connection. My last goodbye, I could see in her eyes a message of love, not like she loved me or was in love with me, but she was sending me a thank you because the kid opened up and started, I don't know, being so acting like a normal kid. So anyway,
awesome.
one of those little miracles that show up in life.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks for sharing that. It's wonderful. Jeanette has her hand up.
This was a really cool exercise. The words that came up for me that I just never think about are vibrant and vibrancy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was back when I was a coach about over 20 years ago, leading a program. And there were 2 gentlemen in there. One was a business owner who was struggling and the other was whatever he was doing. And one-on-one conversations with each of them turned them around such that 23 years later, we're still talk with one another. They still remember that moment where their whole life just went like that. It was really cool.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So we're going to move on to the exercise. I'm going to share my screen again. And again, it's in that PDF. And I can do this. There we go. So just pick 1 or 2. The first thing is to make a list of the jobs that you've had. And so for now, because with this, we have limited time, we're just going to maybe pick 1 or 2. Maybe, and whatever comes to you, that's the right one to pick. Whatever arises, always trust that. So pick 2 jobs that you've had in the course of your life, and you can use the sheets if you've printed them out or just write on a piece of paper. So you're going to be writing the title, the job title and duties. And then then you're going to write a little description about the job. So just go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to just go through mine a little bit, to one of those just to share. So that's the first thing, is write down 1 or 2 jobs and then a description about them. And if you already did it, you get a gold star.
Mhm.
And then write down something that you discovered in the course of that job. So it's a self-discovery is the title. So it's something you discovered about yourself through the course of that job that you had. And lastly, what you discovered about the world through having that job, something on a bigger scale that you discovered. Hi, April and Roy. If you didn't know, it's in the chat. The PDF is in the chat, just in case you didn't. I'm not sure when you came in, but
Lynette, did you have a question?
unmute.
I don't honestly understand what the world discovery part is about.
Mm-hmm. So I'll just describe mine. So for me, it was like there's a masculine feminine balance. And that just in that first role that I had, which was executive secretary, I was a secretary to someone who in my very young years, I felt was super important. And so I felt there was a lot of gravity for me in that of supporting that person and making sure they had what they need. And what I discovered was that there was a kind of a balance, and that what I brought to his life was actually helping him be more of who he was. So it was sort of like that masculine feminine balance that we have in ourselves, not just like, I'm not talking about men and women, but just that strength of having both sides, and that I was providing a kind of a container for him to be able to do more of what he needed to do. He didn't have to think about a lot of the details. So for me in the world, it was realizing that that's true in business. It's true everywhere. There's a kind of a balance. And so even though here was this person who I thought was like way more important than me, it was like, oh, I can still support that person and make them more of who they are.
Okay, thank you.
Looks like some people are finishing up. So obviously you know, it would behoove you to do this on your own, and it's kind of fun to do. So I'm just gonna, and so I just go over what I did, the first one that you have on your PDF as well. And so what I felt about this job was a sense of loyalty. I felt loyal to this person. I felt confident because I could see that even though the things that I might have been doing were small, they were really making a difference. They were helping. I also was really trusting my intuition to anticipate what he needed ahead of when he needed it. And that was fun for me. It was fun for me because it was a big surprise to him. He was not used to that. He was a chairman for pediatric ICU at the University of California, San Francisco. And so having this, I was, you know, an untapped quantity in his mind. He didn't know what to do with me, but he really appreciated all the crazy little things that I would do. Like I changed all of his folder colors to purple, which really surprised him. So I lightened his load. And what I discovered, my self-discovery about that was that for me, a relatively serious person, that's really what I wanted. I wanted to lighten my own load. I wanted to feel lighter. I wanted to feel as if I were being supported. And so I recognized that in my desire to serve, be of service, that was really coming from something within me that, like I was saying before, something I was thirsty for, that feeling of support. And that I could give that to myself. If I could give it to him, I could certainly give it to myself. So that was my self-discovery. So I want you to kind of take them a little bit deeper as you're looking at them. And the next piece, it only changes if I touch the screen or not. Here we go. So the next piece is we're taking that self-discovery piece and the world discovery piece, and we're taking it a little bit further and saying, how is it relevant to you now? So that might, you know, that was a job that I had when I was 20 years old. And how that's relevant to me now is that intuition is still as important, if not more so now than it was then for me. It teaches us about our inner voice, to trust ourselves. It also taught me to show up in the present regardless of what was happening. So recognizing that lightning, that serving, the support, the different things that I was doing were like, how do I use those now in my life currently? And the same with world discovery, right? Talked about that balance, that masculine, feminine balance. And, you know, another way to look at masculine, feminine balance is giving and receiving, or being open to receiving or wanting to control. So it's same difference. It's like, it's finding that balance within yourself and how you then utilize that balance to serve other people, or how you model it for other people. So in present time, ultimately that that is still really important to me, finding that balance. I mean, that's just something it's lifelong that we're working through that, finding that balance for ourselves and figuring out how we can serve with that, how we can model that for other people. So that's your next piece, is how it's present, how it's relevant to you in the present. We'll just take another minute or two. Okay. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next part just for sake of time. So you can then take a highlighter and highlight the words that recurred and just kind of discover what was important for you. And this gives you a sense of that essence for yourself. For me, trust was the one that came up the most, and trusting myself is, there's not a day that goes by that's not a piece of your life. Are you going to trust yourself in what you're thinking and what you're doing and what you're sharing and how you're being in your life? So if that's a focus for you, which it is for me, it's like part of my essence is creating a container for people to feel safe, where they feel like they can trust themselves, they can trust me, they can trust other people. They can try that on. So I'm going to wrap up for a question and answer with the two statements. Use marketing to share the gift of who you are, and use your gift, the gift of who you are, to animate your marketing. So when you're being yourself, that's exactly what you're doing. You're being your marketing. Or you're sharing, if you like that word better. It doesn't have so many connotations around integrity, but it's up to you. It's your choice. Marketing can be very integrous for you, if you're willing to do the work to look and see, like, what's holding you back from that? What's holding you back from being authentic? So to stay on target and pinpoint your message in any marketing endeavor, it's important to know what your motivation is, your why, your mission. And the motivation is always going to change, but the quality of that, which is essentially the essence or that gift that you have, it informs the motivation, which you then use to inform the marketing. So I'm happy to share with anyone who would like to kind of delve into this. I'm offering an hour to do that. It's $79.98. And if you're interested in that, I'll put the link in the chat. If you'd like to spend an hour where I kind of go through these exercises with you and some others to identify your essence and then helping you to how you would apply that to your marketing. And now it's question and answer time.
Thanks, Laura. This is amazing. So raise your hands either in person or virtually with the little reaction thing. So we got Joyce and Jeanette and Catherine.
Catherine, go ahead.
Well, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about you saying for some people it's email, for some people it's social media, for some people it's word of mouth. Can you just talk about that a little bit more?
Sure. So it's very simple. It's like, what are you drawn to? What do you like? How do you like to be communicated to? If, if email is something that really, makes you feel comfortable, makes you feel, it's got that level of distance, as opposed to social media, for example, then it might be that would be something that works for you. If it's attractive to you, if that feels good to you, then exploring how to do that and how to be authentic and how to write short messages that really speak to the heart of your client, or talk about the things that are most, would this be for your book? Are you an author?
No, actually, I'm not. I hope to someday, but I cannot think of my idea. And when I was going through the exercises with all this, the one word that comes through more than anything is color.
Ah.
And Amy's my aunt. I've known her forever. So she can probably attest to this also. And anyway, email is the thing that appeals to me the most.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's so many ways to be creative with that. And again, there's that trust piece, just trusting that, like, if that's what you like, people started digital marketing in campaigns, sort of some people started really early, but really it was like 2002, 2003 that things really started to get going. And email is still right up at the top. It's like number two or three. So it's very relevant. And if that's what's attractive to you, then that's what you're going to be the best at. And that's kind of the point, is do what's authentic for you, what feels good to you. Does that answer your question?
yeah, thanks. But I'd be curious to see what some of the other people who have, other experiences.
Okay. Anne.
I was wondering if you could speak to the motivation piece a little bit more, because I know that's what I had the most trouble with, is just getting motivated to do the marketing.
But you didn't have trouble being motivated to write your book.
That's true. I think because I really enjoy the book, and I don't think I enjoy the marketing as much as I enjoy writing the book.
Tell me about what you enjoyed about the book. Like, what was it that really got you excited about that?
I think it speaks to to openness, which is the thing that kept coming to me. The word that kept coming to me was being open.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I could have this openness with the reader in it. And also, I've always loved to write since I was a little girl. I mean, obviously with marketing, it's writing, but it's something about it just doesn't feel as creative as writing the book was.
And so what if What if you used movies, different movies that you really like, as a way, like, let's say you created an email campaign where you used movies to talk about the things you want to talk about, to sort of share those things. So it's like it gives you a little bit of a buffer from that, like it makes you feel a little bit safer to use this movie, but yet you're still getting your point across. And it's a fun way for people to get that, like, I don't know if you ever watched there's a long running show called Suits. And it was about these lawyers, and when they talk to one another, they talk in these like little snippets from different movies that they've watched. They'll just, they'll make a statement and they throw it out there to see if anybody will catch it and know what movie it's from. Like that was just a kind of fun thing that they did. So that's just coming to mind of something that you could make it fun for yourself again by communicating the things that really are meaningful to you, but using movies to do that.
Got it. Making it fun. I like that.
Fun. Yeah. That's the operative word there. Lynette?
Mine is presentations and one-on-one or to a group. And I've been in recruitment for almost my whole adult life, managing, recruiting and managing people. And I love to create the presentations based on what I'm trying to talk about as far as the organization, and to presentation that meets the needs of the audience. So how do you do that in marketing when everything today is like social media or digital or whatever?
I guess I'm missing something in your question, because if you're giving a presentation, isn't that marketing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I understand that. But so it is the fact that I've always stood up in front of a group of people to do a presentation. So how does that work in a social media setting? Or yeah.
Social media is it's kind of its own thing in a way. And not everybody uses social media. Even very successful people that have been marketing for a while and making a lot of money, they don't use social media. They use what works for them. So if giving presentations or doing a webinar or a Zoom where you can actually be presenting, if that's what feels good to you and that's what I don't know why there's that echo. If that's really what's working, then that's what you should do. And you can use social media to let people know that you're doing that.
Thank you.
Joyce.
I'm hoping I can speak and not be annoying, because I did go back in. Is that okay? We don't have an echo now? Just checking. Well, what intrigued me is looking at the last job I had before I went to my business. And two things. I was in inside sales, selling courses to financial planners for their professional development, continuing education credits, or people who wanted to get into the industry. And I'd always been in outside sales, so I got into inside sales. And what I learned from that, I'm going to say is, well, maybe more sales than marketing, is that you can talk to anybody, anywhere, and not ever see their face, and develop a relationship with them. Meet them where they are. And so I'm just talking more about the process of how I approach them, how I help people with their LinkedIn, is meeting them where they are. But the other thing too is these people, these mostly men, but some women, would be working. They'd be like 70, even 80 years old, and they'd be working. I'm like, what in the heck are you doing working? And they say, I love what I do. Why would I not be working? I take Fridays off. I got my junior associate. So again, this really is more of the worldview part. You can be very, very involved in the world as long as you want to be, as long as you got your wits about you. So that was such a great role model for me. And I market that I'm old. Just this morning, I said that I'm older and I market to older people. This guy goes, no, vintage. And this is right in a Zoom like this. I said, no, there's nothing wrong with being old. It's fine to say that word in three little hearts came up and he wrote back, okay, I get you now. I can't take that crap when people want to use some euphemism. So sorry to go off on that. But anyway, part of my uniqueness is that I am older as in my field. Okay, I'm done now.
Or maybe you're just wise, Joyce.
Well, that too. But Anne is in many ways wiser than me.
Jody?
Well, first I want to say I'm not sure that Joyce is giving good enough credit to herself for being ahead of her time.
Yeah.
And having
Thank
insight
you.
that
Thank you.
not many have.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I want to thank you, Laura, for my book came out about 6 weeks before the shutdown for the pandemic. And so I'm a lifelong teacher and I can market the American Revolution to fourth graders, but that's about the extent of my marketing. And
That's a lot.
I figure if I can do that, I can do about anything.
That's
But
right.
I think that I had no business background or no business marketing kind of background. So I was pretty much at a loss for how do I do this? As I did this activity, I realized that the word that kept coming up for me was synchronicity and connectedness. And I didn't feel like on social media I could do that because being the teacher that I am, it was about looking somebody in the face. It was about connecting with their eyes and my ability to read other people and see how they're feeling and what they're needing and how I'm getting through. So all of a sudden today, all these light bulbs went off and I'm like, now I get it. And it's like the other question you had before. Yeah, the aha moment, like the answer you gave to Lynette about, social media is just one tool. And it's not like you'd go out to a construction project with a box and a hammer. And, you got to look at other tools that might be more appropriate to the job. So thank you. That really, really helped.
Awesome. Great. I'm glad to hear it. Well, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate that you came today and hope you got something out of it. And yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
And there's part two, and part two actually is really the more nuts and bolts in terms of marketing and looking at, what's a funnel and all of that kind of thing. But I will tie it completely into this. So
When is part 2? So I can make sure it's on my calendar.
it is October.
12th, I think.
I think so too. That sounds right.
Yes. I don't know
Yep.
if I posted that yet, but I will post it in Positively Powered Authors on Facebook, and I'm putting that link in. If you are not a member yet, please join us so that we can make sure that you get all the information. And if you're not on my email, we can take care of that too. So we can get on the, so we can hit the social media and the email. I do both. For the marketing, so the events that are coming up. So Laura, thank you so much for your presentation. I'm going to post Laura's link in there again too. If you want to have an hour with Laura to just know what, clarify what's going on. Actually, Laura, if you would put that in there again, I'm not finding it really quickly. So I wondered if everybody could go around, because I want to keep us on time, or we've got one more minute, to put something in the chat about a takeaway that you're going to take away with you today, or a gratitude for Laura. So for presenting this amazing information, because you can see what Laura has done for me is helped me shift my mindset about marketing. And I saw that happen for several of you today. So if you had that kind of shift in your mindset, put it in the chat what that was, because that's a big deal to just help us get a little closer to sharing our messages in a way that's comfortable and natural for us. And even, let's say, fun. What? Fun? So something for me is I sometimes think that marketing, I have to be some kind of actor. I have to act or present something that's not really me. And that Laura's giving us the exact opposite message, which is be yourself, be your quick, quirky, imaginative, creative, passionate self on social media, just like you are in your books or your presentations, or, you know, talking about what jazzes you up. So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you so much, Laura, for bringing your heart to us, and for that amazing visualization. That actually gave me an aha moment, which was about generosity. So that was really, really fun. So thank you all of you for coming. I feel like we brought together our positive power today with Laura, and we can now bring it to the world. So go out there, make a post today, or send an email that that says something that is on your heart and your mind that you want to share with the people that you most want to serve.